What is up, Mizzou fans? Welcome back to another video on my channel. My name is Josh Fan of Show Me Football, covering your Missouri Tigers. And we have a question to answer today. Do the Missouri Tigers have a legit Heisman contender on their roster? We're going to talk about that all right after this. Ladies and gentlemen, Missouri Tigers fans, welcome back in to another video on my channel. So I wanted to talk a little bit of Mizzou football today on this down day as we prepare to take on the South Carolina Gamecocks this Saturday. That's obviously a huge game, but I wanted to talk about one of the storylines kind of heading into that game, as Mizzou running back Ahmad Hardy has gained a lot of national attention this week after his big performance versus Louisiana in week 3. He's someone that I've seen on a lot of people's, best players in the SEC list, top running backs list, even some Heisman lists. I've seen Ahmad Hardy's name begin to pop up. A lot of people are talking about him. He's getting a lot of national praise, something that Mizzou isn't quite used to, especially early on in the season. But they've been getting recognition for some of the players that they brought in during this last transfer portal kind of period or cycle. And Ahmad Hardy was obviously one of those big additions. This is someone that, ran for over 1,300 yards his true freshman season at ULM before hopping in the portal and landing at Mizzou. And the second Mizzou landed him, everyone was excited because we saw what he did as a true freshman. And the expectation was that he was one of the most talented running backs in the SEC, had the potential to lead this league in rushing, but we had to see it, and we had to see it at a higher level of competition. And granted, I'm not sitting here acting like Mizzou has played the toughest schedule in the country throughout the first 3 weeks, but they did play a very solid Kansas team in a rivalry game, and Ahmad Hardy ran for over 100 yards in that game. He's ran for over 100 yards in each game so far, well over 100 yards in week 3, and I'll talk about that a little bit more here in a second. But the big question that everyone's asking is Ahmad Hardy a legit Heisman contender for the Missouri Tigers this season? And I want to talk about this a little bit more because I do think that there's potential here that Mizzou could have a legit Heisman contender. And we know that Missouri has never produced a Heisman winner, but there's a few candidates on this year's football team that I think you could see on the list by the end of this season. One of those is, of course, Ahmad Hardy. Let's just go through some of the numbers so far, guys, of just what Ahmad Hardy has accomplished so far. We know that he ran for 250 yards and 3 touchdowns versus Louisiana. Now, everyone will probably point out, hey, that was Louisiana, and that's true. You should run over a team like that, but that doesn't mean that everyone does it. Ahmad Hardy did it, and you were watching that box score, and it was like 20-yard run, 16-yard run, 27-yard run. Like, I don't know if he got brought down for a loss that entire game. And a lot of credit goes to the Missouri offensive line as well. And they're obviously going to be a part of this discussion and a part of Ahmad Hardy building his Heisman case. But like I said, let's get into some of the numbers so far. So obviously, this is the list for leading rushers in the SEC. This graphic comes from SEC Mike over from that SEC podcast. He puts these out weekly. He posted this to his X account. Rushing yard leaders week 3. You can see Ahmad Hardy has almost 200 yards on the next closest running back. And then third on that list isn't even a running back. It's Arkansas quarterback Taylon Green, who's obviously having a fantastic season, but just goes to show how much Ahmad Hardy is outperforming the other running backs. And then, of course, shout out Jamal Roberts, the other Mizzou running back, who's also in the top 10, which just shows how good Mizzou's running game has been this year. But then another stat I wanted to look at was this one. If you only counted, I should say first, this comes from SEC Numbers Guy on X. He's been putting out a lot of great content lately. But he says if you only counted Ahmad Hardy's yards after contact, he would still lead the SEC in rushing. He has 358 yards after contact. Hardy for Heisman, ? So those are impressive numbers. Ahmad Hardy's also been racking up awards off the field. He made the PFF National Team of the Week this past week. He got the Doak Walker Award for the week. I know he won a couple others. He's been bringing in the hardware this week for sure. Now, I do want to talk a little bit more about the actual case for Ahmad Hardy to be Heisman. We've obviously looked at some of the numbers so far already, and that does tell a large part of the story. He's been very, very good. But I want to talk more about why I think Ahmad Hardy has a legit chance to win the Heisman this season. But before we get to that, I do want to show you all a message from our partners on this channel. So let's go ahead and check that out. Wanted to take a moment to shout out our partners on this channel over at W Energy. Guys, if you have not heard of W Energy, you're absolutely missing out right now. If you're someone like me that needs that jolt of energy when you first wake up in the morning, or when you're trying to take on a big task for the day, such as working out, or maybe trying to complete a project for school, anything like that, W is an essential. I'm someone that unfortunately has gotten into the bad habit of drinking a lot of caffeinated energy drinks filled with sugar or artificial sweeteners or flavors, but I'm trying to curb that now by using W Energy, which is a much better alternative. W is a powered energy drink that replaces other inferior caffeine beverages. It contains zero harmful chemicals, zero fillers, zero artificial colors or dyes, and no proprietary blends. The star of the show is their coffee fruit extract, which helps you focus without the jitter or the crash of other energy drinks or caffeinated drinks out on the market. And they just sent me their Japanese yuzu flavor that I've been drinking recently. It is absolutely fantastic. One of the better tasting energy drinks that I've ever had. And I'm going to continue to use it and check out some of their other flavors as well. I encourage you all to do the same. And luckily for you, you can use my promo code SHOWMEFB by clicking the link down below and putting that promo code in when you go to checkout. And you can get an additional 10% off. Stop drinking those unhealthy energy drinks and start drinking W Energy instead. Go check out their stuff. They're going to be partnered with me all football season long. Go and check them out. So yeah, guys, definitely go and check that out. Take advantage of that sale that we got going on right now using my promo code in the description down below. Back to the video topic though. So we've seen some of the numbers, but does Ahmad Hardy have a legit chance at the Heisman this year? Obviously, it's still very early in the season and a lot can happen, but Ahmad Hardy is off to a great start. And we know that in order for a running back to win the Heisman, and in order for a running back for the Missouri Tigers to win a Heisman, you have to put up video game numbers. And so far, Ahmad Hardy is doing that. He has to keep it up through SEC play, though. And we're going to see a big test this weekend when Mizzou takes on South Carolina. If Ahmad Hardy runs for over 100 yards again in that game, has a touchdown or two, puts up really good numbers, then I think you'll really see his name start to explode when it comes to talking Heisman. He's going to have to continue having a good season during SEC play. But I think we've at least answered the question so far through 3 weeks that Ahmad Hardy is the real deal. Like, this guy is capable of just taking over a game by himself. And we've talked about again and again how Drinkwitz always has a good running game. Mizzou always has a good running game, but they've never had a talent like Ahmad Hardy back there. And you can see the difference with him. And another reason why I think actually Ahmad Hardy has a really good chance to win the Heisman is because of the way that this Mizzou's offense is built. Bo Prabula was someone that, because I understand an argument that is going to be made by some Mizzou fans as well. Hold on a second. Bo Prabula could also make his way into the Heisman conversation, and he definitely could. But the reason that I think he won't is because I think Mizzou is just going to lean way too heavily on their running game in order for Bo to actually put up the numbers to win it. I think, you saw in Louisiana, you saw against Kansas, the running game is really what did most damage for Mizzou. Mizzou has been dominating time of possession this year, mostly because of their ability to run the ball. And I just think there's going to be at least 1 or 2 games, even in SEC play this year, where Mizzou is going to dominate running the ball, and they're going to stick with that. And that's going to allow Ahmad Hardy to continue building these numbers up. But another thing that I consider as well is that this Mizzou offensive line, it's not perfect right now. I think that's one of the few things that we've had a gripe with as Mizzou fans so far this season, but we've already seen incremental improvement from week to week on this Mizzou offensive line. The holes have been getting bigger. They've been starting to gel. We know there was a lot of new faces on this line. They also had to move Caden Green out to left tackle to start the season. He struggled in that first game, but he's been PFF's highest graded tackle in the SEC 2 weeks since then. So Mizzou's offensive line is starting to gel, and I think they'll continue to gel and get better. I think Curtis Peagler's been the weakest link on Mizzou's offensive line so far. But this is his first year of real action. And I think as he gets that experience and he gets that in-game conditioning, he'll continue to get better. Either that or Mizzou will try someone else there that's better. I just think this offensive line is going to continue to improve. This is a theme we've seen with Drinkwitz coached offensive lines. They take a little bit to get going, but once they do, man, are they fun to watch. And that's just going to make life easier for Ahmad Hardy, who's always, just wreaking havoc no matter what. But this, I want to go back to the stat actually that I showed a little bit earlier about the yards after contact. So again, Ahmad Hardy has 358 yards after contact this year so far, which would still make him the leading running back in the SEC if you only counted his yards after contact. But the reason I bring this up again for his case to win the Heisman is because Ashton Jeanty, who finished second in Heisman voting last year and probably would have won it any other year unless, he wasn't going up against Travis Hunter, who played both sides of the football. Ashton Jeanty would have been your Heisman last year. He led the country in yards after contact as a running back. You want to know who was second in the nation in yards after contact last year? Ahmad Hardy at ULM. So with Ashton Jeanty no longer in the college game, Ahmad Hardy has a chance to have an Ashton Jeanty type season. And if he does that and he continues putting up these video game numbers and Mizzou looks like a playoff team, that's another thing is I think Mizzou will probably have to be a playoff team in order for them to get as much credit in order for Ahmad Hardy to win the Heisman. And we know the whole STP moniker and how Mizzou doesn't get any recognition, blah, blah, blah. I know it sounds a little fanny, but I do think there is some truth to that. There's some weight to that. But man, if Ahmad Hardy keeps doing this, it's going to be hard to ignore his name. And he's at least going to get an invite because I go back to 2023 when Cody Schrader led the SEC in rushing. He was by far the best running back in the SEC. He finished 8th in Heisman voting, if I remember correctly, but he got invited, to the event and everything like that. Ahmad Hardy will at least get invited if he keeps doing this. He's on pace to get invited to, the Heisman ceremony. So, man, and I think Mizzou has put together enough of a program. In 2023, they kind of burst onto the scene. There wasn't enough preseason recognition in order for Cody Schrader to get the Heisman or anything like that. He was never going to win it. But Drinkwitz mentioned that season about how when's the last time the leading rusher in the SEC, didn't get Heisman votes or wasn't in the Heisman conversation. And he was correct. I think Drinkwitz has built a strong enough program. He's built name recognition with the Missouri Tigers program that Ahmad Hardy is better set up to win the Heisman this year because people know what to expect from Mizzou. And there was enough preseason hype behind Ahmad Hardy, I think, that, his name already comes with a lot of flash and recognition, and that's just going to help him out when it comes to the Heisman voting. So I think Ahmad Hardy has a legit chance at the Heisman if he keeps this up. And again, South Carolina this weekend is going to be a big test. If he does it against an SEC opponent, like I said, you'll see his name really start to show up. But I think, South Carolina is going to tell us a lot about this Missouri Tigers team as a whole. I'll be previewing that either later today or tomorrow with Braden on the channel. So definitely stick around and make sure you don't miss that. But wanted to talk about Ahmad Hardy and the season he's had so far a little bit. But I'm going to go ahead and end it there. Definitely let me know in the comments down below what you guys think about Ahmad Hardy potentially winning the Heisman. Do you think he has a legit shot, or what do you think if you're thinking something different than that? Definitely let me know in the comments down below. All that being said, make sure you like, share, and subscribe so more Mizzou fans can find this. Check out my work on showmefootball.com and follow the Twitter at showmefb. That's all I got for this one. I'll see you all in the next one. And as always, MIZ.